Okay, I'm here today on Friendly Fire with Jay Branegan, former Time magazine writer. You were the White House correspondent during the Clinton administration. You covered the White House. You won a Pulitzer Prize with the Chicago Tribune. One of the most astute and well-informed people about the media I've ever known. And that's why we're talking to you today, because what I've seen happen over television in the last few years and with the decline of newspapers is sort of a monolithic view that we get on television. And as we're talking, the Michael Jackson death is just being endlessly repeated like a mantra. Whatever show you turn on, it's the same thing over and over and over. We've got conflicts in Iran, we've got economic problems in Europe, we've got whatever's going on in Afghanistan. We don't get much news on that, but we know everything from Michael Jackson's toilet habits to what he might have eaten 2 days before he died. The question is, what is the impact as? You're a journalist, and we don't get investigative journalism sort of went on the way. What's happened, and what's the impact of that kind of coverage on television?
Well, I think you are seeing this is the manifestation, sort of the endpoint of a growing trend in celebrity journalism that has been evident really since the O.J. Simpson days back in the early 90s, with the famous scene of all the cameras of America following the white Bronco. It just continued throughout the 90s. Celebrity journalism became profitable. Celebrities became more interested in getting free publicity. The public likes celebrities. Celebrity journalism is cheap to produce, and it drives up the numbers. And I think we saw, certainly during the 90s, there was a lack of interest in foreign news, a lack of interest in politics. Was been called, in terms of foreign news, and the holiday from history. We sort of forgot that we had obligations overseas.
Then the point of the media, point of so-called news, CNN's 24-hour news channel, they use the word news, to inform us. Isn't their job to tell us what's really going on in the world? The Michael Jackson thing, for example, or the O.J. Simpson, or the Monica Lewinsky scandal, those were items, those were news items, but they're not all the news. So I guess the question is, who loses out?
Well, I think clearly who loses out is the average viewer, and I think the body politic, and to a certain degree, the democratic system. I mean, the democratic system depends on informed viewers. And I think what you're seeing is the capitalist requirement, the financial requirements of the news media, particularly in these troubled times, to generate as much traffic as they can, generate as many viewers, and to spend as little money doing so as they can, combines to drive the news selection toward inexpensive fluff and trivia that is very popular with people. Let's face it, many people would like to see Michael Jackson. Many more people would like to see Michael Jackson than would like to see the mullahs in Tehran.
Most of the news media is run by corporations, large corporations. They're out to make a profit. Is there a flaw in the system? Again, it's become monolithic. With the decline of news, your local newspapers are gone. We don't get a multiplicity of views. So we've got this huge monolithic corporate entities that are dictating basically what we should know. As a result, as you indicated in a lecture you just gave to the students at the Rutherford Institute in our intern program, a new Pew Research Center study shows that Americans are not informed. A large section, they don't even, 4 out of 10 Americans didn't even know who Dick Cheney was. What does that say about us as Americans?
Well, I think there's two sides. First of all, there is the demand side. If people don't want to be informed, you cannot make them eat their spinach. But I think the other side is the business model for hard news journalism, for foreign news, has really kind of broken down. And we need a new business model. Who's going to develop that? Certainly not me. But someone has to develop a new business model which you can support the kind of expensive, high-quality journalism that is, frankly, only going to be followed by elites. It's only going to be followed by a small fraction of the public, but they're going to be the opinion leaders. And when there's a big story, when there's a good story, that will filter down farther into the public. But if we don't have that, we're going to really lose something.
Well, what we lose is an informed public, and in the end, democratic government. We have to lose. I mean, we do know that often, when I'm watching a report on TV, says this comes from official government sources, the first thing I think is the government speaking to me through a reporter. Democracy loses.
And I would agree. I think that's why it's important that we maintain a few national publications that have the financial capital like the Wall Street Journal, like the New York Times, like the Washington Post, who have tradition, have skill, and have really strong financial bases. And I think what we need to do is find more of those and find more ways to spread that kind of journalism and spread that kind of information more widely throughout the system.
If something isn't done, obviously, as you look at the American public today, they can't tell you what's in the First Amendment. They can't tell you the three branches of government. But I go back to, again, the public school system obviously isn't doing it. The media isn't doing it. And maybe this will be my last question. Do we have an optimistic future?
I think we have an uncertain future. It's hard to be pessimistic, but it's really hard to be optimistic at this point because there is so much going on in the world, so many things affect what happens here in America, affect our jobs, affect our security, that there has to be an interest in it. And I think the real challenge, and I'm not sure what can't be met, but I don't know how it will be met. The real challenge is to figure out a way to do that in a profitable way so that we don't have the government becoming the main source of all our information.
Thank you, Jay Branegan.
It's glad to be here.